Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Miyuki and this is Let's Make Art, and we letter a new project every week. Welcome back if this is your second, first, third, 15th time. We are going to be doing a project called Go the Extra Mile, It's Never Crowded. This one, there's a bunch of different things. I know it looks like a lot, but I'm gonna break it down. That's what we do here. We break it down step by step. So by the end, you will have a complete project that you can be proud of. So I don't know why I moved that, the 5 steps that we're going to be doing. The first one is I'm going to teach you how to draw a banner. So this is a practice worksheet that you can get on our website. If you don't have our subscription box, go to letsmakeart.com and find this project and you can download this for free. So the first step, I'm gonna go through how you can draw a banner. I know this isn't a drawing lesson, but I'm gonna incorporate some drawing so you can do it. That's step 1. Step 2 is it goes this way. We're going to lay out the entire quote. So this is a head start for you. If you're staring at a blank canvas and you don't know what to do, this is a head start. Third step is we are going to watercolor. So this is with watercolors. We're going to watercolor the entire thing. Fourth step is I'm going to show you how to add shadows and then the border. And then the 5th step is the magic white. We're going to do that at the end.
Magic white.
I was going to say magic Mike.
Magic Mike.
That's what, magic white. There's 5 steps, 4 colors that we're going to be using are Tahoe blue, deep blue, I'm excited to use that color, and then yellow. So those are the 3 watercolors. And then the last one is, which you won't be able to see, but let's give you a little snippet right there. Maybe we can do a little insert. We're gonna do white. I don't know if you can even see that, but that's there, that's white.
I guess it would be hard. I was like, why don't you just put it on the paper? I don't know.
Wait, let's do
I don't know that it would show up at all.
I mean, I can see it. I don't know if you as a cameraman can see that.
Ghost white.
White. The supplies. Or the tools I'm going to be using. I'm going to be sticking actually with the aquash brush. This is the medium one that also comes in your box if you had that. But if you don't, we actually sell them on our website. So you can do that. Or if you're more comfortable with the round 0, you can use either one. Either one works great for lettering. Okay. Step 1, how to draw a banner. Gonna do it on here, not waste paper. Okay, there are 3 different ones on this practice worksheet that you can go through on your own. I'm just gonna go through the one that's part of our project so you can do that with me. First step, pretty simple. Draw a rectangle. Second step, we're going to add the flag. So when you're looking at this, actually let me take a moment to talk about this. This is a flag-like ribbon. So the front part, it's as if this is here. The end of the flags are on the side, so it's curving and it's protruding out. So that's what the front part is what we're drawing now. Now we're gonna draw the flag aspect of it, which are the 2 sides. This is pretending that we cut our flags with scissors, so they have little banners on the side.
Cute.
But if you want, yours can be just a square one, if you just cut it. But you're gonna draw 2 lines. So if you're looking at the corner of this, you're gonna draw a line here and a line here on the bottom. And then you're gonna draw this parallel. So what's happening is keep this size consistent with this size, because if you think about it, it's the same ribbon, it's just at a different perspective, but the sizing doesn't change too much because it's not an extreme amount. If it was, then it would be very different. But because it's so close, it doesn't change that much. And we're pretending like this banner is just here and it's here rather than it curved a little bit. So that's another different aspect of it. But for this one that we're doing, they're the same size. So keep them pretty similar. So you're gonna do that, and then you're gonna draw the cut banner part of it. So we're gonna do that on the other side. So I'm gonna draw a line here, And then if you want, you can keep these parallel, which is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna draw an imaginary line and then continue it right there. And then same thing here, draw an imaginary line, keep that there, and then draw that part in. So that's the second step. The third one is, what's happening is that if you look at this, this is just, they don't look connected. So what you do is you just take the corner, this corner to this corner, and this corner to this corner. So now they're connected. And then the final step is coloring magic. Does that look like a banner?
Yeah, and it's super fun to watch it come together.
Yeah, I know, and those are 4 very simple steps. I did it with a pencil, I realized. If you had done this with a watercolor brush, that totally works, but I just wanted to show you how to draw a banner. So like I said, there are 2 other ones that you can learn through on our practice worksheet that you can go through on your own. Okay, lay out the quote. So the quote that I chose was, "Go the extra mile, it's never crowded." If you want to pick your own quote, you 100% can. You're the designer of this. I'm just going to show you that this is to, like I said, help get you set up. I know when you look at a blank canvas, sometimes you don't even know where to start. So maybe if you have your own quote and you want to do this on your own, help yourself by drawing yourself guidelines to help get you started. When you are doing this, I like to sketch, which is why I have a pencil in my hand. I like to sketch with my pencil because it allows me to erase. So it eliminates that I need to make this perfect on the first try. So don't feel like that. I'm just gonna go through it pretty quickly. When you're doing this, you can decide, I pretended like this blocked it. You can decide if you wanna do script lettering or if you wanna do more of a block lettering. This is your choice to design it. I'm gonna skip that for a second. So I decided to make all of these at an angle. So this is actually one of the beginner lettering series that you can go over if you've never heard me talk about this, angled lettering versus straight up and down lettering. So you can go back and watch one of our beginner lettering series. But I'm just gonna keep it consistent. So keep, for the cursive script part, crowded. And so when I did this, what I do want to show you is that I did it normally like that. Then I realized that I'm looking at this from a taking a step back perspective because I did this really quickly. However, now when I'm looking at this, I see this space, negative space right here. So I know that I can actually, and I want to teach you guys, you can break apart some of your letters. So especially this D is one of them. So I'm going to mimic this curve right here, and I'm going to draw it right here. And then I'm going to continue my loop so it curves around like that to fill that space. Maybe that got a little bit close. So now that has a similar look. This is how sometimes I cross my T to my H's. I realize that maybe you might, that's typically how it goes, but I cross it like that sometimes. So then on the end, I saw that I have this space right here, so that's why I wanted to add another. These are called flourishes. So it's just like, think of it as just little loops or decorations.
I'm a big fan of the flourishes.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like flowery, you know? Like flowers, flourishes. I don't know.
Yeah, similar word too. And they're decorations and adorations. So you can decide if you want to add that or not, personal preference. Okay, now for the same thing when I'm drawing my banner. I'm going to leave the same space and I'm just going to do the same thing like I did when I showed you guys. It's about this big. And draw this for my guideline. Okay, so you can decide, maybe you want your banners to be a little bit longer. Up to you. And then for the middle, I decided to do this in a block font just to mix it up. And this might happen to you. Do I have my big eraser? Where I drew it once, but my lettering, nope. All good, just gonna use this. I got a little bit squished, so I need to draw it one more time. And again, this is why I love pencils. You can erase. Did you ever have, I was gonna say in school, a...
Maybe.
Did
What's the
anyone
question?
ever have a erasable pen?
Yes, I
Yeah?
have one now.
What?
Yeah, it's a Japanese pen.
Oh.
Oh.
Just kidding. I'm full Japanese, that's not. But I'm the most whitewashed person. Anyways, I want to see that. But I was going to say, erasable pens are really cool. I don't know if I would do that with my lettering, but that's, hey, if you have one,
Yeah,
might as well
that's
use
actually
it.
a good idea.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
Okay. Oh, I forgot. Need to draw that part and know that I need to make that darker when I color it in. Okay, that's step 2. Take your time in doing this. I know they did this really fast. Feel free to pause and do it on your own. So don't feel rushed that you have to keep up with me at this pace. Okay, now we are going to do the watercolor part of it. So the reason why I have you guys take the time to design it is that you did the hard part then, and I am a huge fan of using a light box. If you don't have one, it is okay. You have a couple options. You can either use this as your template and you can sketch it again, or you makeshift your own light box and I don't have one on me, but you just get a clear baking dish, put it upside down, and then put your phone underneath. So idea is anything that you just need a light source so that you can see through, like this. I was like, why can't I see anything?
It's blank.
To see that. You can also use a window if it's light outside, or like Keenan says, if you have bright street lights, which I still don't know if that's true.
Have I said that?
You've said that.
Oh, that
Because
doesn't-
I said it needs to be sunshine. You're like, what if you have
I don't. That doesn't
streetlights?
sound like something I would say. I don't know.
Because we're in Missouri and there's no streetlights?
There are very few streetlights in Missouri, but when there are streetlights, they're very bright.
They're very bright.
I was going to say also, I think I mentioned it before, but make sure your light thingy is clean.
Oh,
Because
it
if you have
doesn't
like the
phase-
pencil shavings on there,
oh yeah, you'll see it.
yeah, they'll pop up and you're like, what?
What? Okay. Clean yourself, according to Keenan. Okay, so now I am going to use my watercolors. Keep that there. When you are designing your own quote or your own project, what you can do is you can figure out what colors you want to use, or you can just go for the flow and see what happens. You will have this as a reference if you have our kit, so you can base off of this if you like something similar to this. I'm just going to tell you really quickly. I'm going to start with the deep blue, and then I'm going to use some of the Tahoe blue at the end. You could also mix your own colors. Deep blue is this one. Okay.
Are you going to leave that reference card there? That'd be great.
Should I?
Yeah.
Okay. I know I don't do that very often because you can see that, but I will totally do that. Okay, when you're doing watercolor lettering, I am not using any water actually. I am just dipping in to get a little bit more ink. I'm using a aquash brush. However, if you notice, there is nothing in here. You can add water in here if you'd like. There's also another video on that. In the beginner learning series, I go over that. So you can add water, but I really don't. When we're using liquid watercolors, you don't really need that much. And if I do, I just have a water cup right here.
I noticed that you didn't trace directly over the T thing. Is that just because you're watching for the spacing?
Thank you for saying that. I was gonna say that at the end.
Sorry.
No. You reminded me because mid-sentence I was already saying something. I use this as a guidelines. Guidelines are meant to be guidelines, not put you in a box. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Not restricting. So when I did that, I realized what's happening is that, I'm gonna show you. This looks fine. The spacing in between here looked okay. However, when I went to draw it, I think it was because either my lines are so thick or maybe I had this line was a little bit too far. If I were to draw my T, I don't know if you can see. My T is right here. So I actually drew it a little bit more. If I were to draw it right there, from experience, I've realized that it's a little bit too close to here. So I'm glad Keenan said that. And if you ever do that, don't feel like you have to trace it exactly. Like I said, this is just your guideline. But as you were painting, especially because this is such a thicker brush, you might be dealing with different factors that you need to be mindful of. Okay, so do that. I'm gonna skip, actually, no, I might as well. I'm gonna do the banner. When I'm doing this, so with the banner, you can have fun with the colors. Let me mix some. I'm gonna mix some up. I actually wanna mix a green. Can they see my palette?
Yes, they can.
Okay. So I'm gonna mix some green. So I'm just using my Tahoe blue. I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow. So I wanna make like a teal type of color. So then I can mix that in a little bit. So feel free, mix that back in. Ooh, that's a little bit more green, that's okay. Color this in. If you want to add some blooms, as Keenan loves,
yes,
just dip some water on. What happens is when you have a bloom, the water disperses where it hits, and then it kind of does its thing. You never know what's going to happen.
It's like a colorful water explosion.
Yes, I love it. So with watercolors, you want to move fairly quickly. Otherwise, if I were to stop and Keenan and I were to talk for too long, you might get a hard line, which is okay. But just do this whole thing and then take a break. Oh, so there's a cool bloom that you guys can see. I'm going to leave that because I like the way that looks. Watercolors are so fun. Okay. Then I'm going to, thinking about this, I'm going to do the sides of my banners actually after I do the rest of my quote. The reason why is because as I'm doing this, this is a little wet and I want to have a crisp line here. So if I were to do it right away, it might blend a little bit and bleed, which is okay sometimes, but for this point, I want to leave it. So I'm going to do the rest of my quote. If you want to do a similar lettering style, what's happening is I am applying heavier pressure on the down and then lighter pressure on the up. So this is a style preference. If you would like to also do it, you don't have to. You can do it all thin, you can do it all thick. But what's happening is I'm going thin and then thick. So I'm using the belly of this brush and pushing. So you can manipulate a lot with just applying different amount of pressure. And you'll notice I dip fairly often. You don't have to if you want to have a kind of ombre effect where it goes a saturated blue to a lighter blue. So that's another personal preference part. Okay, for crowded, I am going to mix it up. I actually want to create, I'm gonna mix in a little bit, a combo. Make a lighter color. If you want to make a lighter version of a color, you just need to add a little bit more water. And when I'm dipping in, I'm just picking up some water and moving it over. Let me see what that looks like. You also can have a scratch piece of paper if you want to test. So you can see how much lighter that is compared to if I were to use Tahoe blue right off of it. Crow. Start of crowded. I need to be mindful of the words that I write. So you can see that this is a lot lighter and that's more saturated. So personal preference, but I wanted to make it lighter because I'm going to show you guys how after we can add a darker color to the bottom to create a different look. So I'm gonna
mind your head.
Mind. Every time you say that, I think mind the gap.
Mind the gap.
And the
train.
tube in London.
Tube.
Yeah. Okay.
Crow makes me think of Counting Crows. The band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the actually counting
Not
crows.
counting several crows.
Like, do you do that here in Missouri?
1, 2, 3.
Crow.
Crow.
Crow. Also, when I'm doing this, is I am not dipping the entire, so if you can see, I'm not dipping the entire amount of brush in here, entire brush, because if I were to do that, if you look, it might explode and not be as solid of a line. So I usually just dip the tip, actually. Okay. So I'm going to do this whole thing in this light blue. Feel free to, and I advise you to take it in strokes. So don't do this really quickly, like as if you were to do cursive. It's okay to break it up. Again, I'm not dipping in water, I'm just dipping in my watercolors. For this, I am going to help myself because I am better drawing down rather than drawing across. Sayre's the opposite, which is really cool because it shows that everyone's different.
You scoot it to the left a little. There you go.
Yeah. But I'm gonna
Mind the gap.
draw it like that and pull towards me because it's easier for me to do that. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to move back to the other part of my banner. I realize I still need this on. And we're going to take the second step of the banner. If I had a lot of time, I would let this dry. I'm going to just go for it, but I noticed that, did I just spit?
I have no idea.
Oh, well, it's all good. Keep going. They just got a water drop. This is still wet. If that bothers you, then I would stop, pause, let it completely dry, but I'm going to keep going for you guys. And I'm just going to hold this brush a little awkwardly. Or I guess paint on this side. I guess I can paint this way. If I'm just gripping differently, that's why. Okay, when you are doing this part of the banner, you have the choice to either fill it completely in, or I'll show you, let's see. Even though it'll look lopsided, I just want to show you that you can do the same thing. So this one, I'm going to fill it all in. Need to mix it up, add some, you can paint it all one color, then drop in colors if you'd like. Just want to have some variance so it's not a solid color. Okay, that's one way you can do it. Or,
unless those solid colors are your jam.
True. But I didn't want, because this isn't a solid color, I want it to look like it's the same banner.
Nice.
Instead of a different one.
That makes sense.
But yes, solid colors are totally good. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to show you the other way you can do it, personal preference, and we'll see which one Keenan likes better, is if I were to not color that part, and I will color it after. And also, I'm going to show you if you mix colors within, what it would look like. Watercolors also have its own mind, and sometimes it just does its thing. You can't control it, and that's okay. It's a great life lesson. Okay. For both of these, I need to let that dry again, because if I were to go over it, like I said, it would bleed. So we're going to, I'm going to kind of, this is part of step 4, but I'm just going to show you guys with it. I'm going to, because this is dry, so we haven't paused at all. Watercolors do dry pretty fairly quickly. Unless you have a big wash like this, it'll take a couple more minutes, but my lettering is completely dry. So I'm going to show you how, if you're looking at this one, there is it's a shadow, but it's on the letters rather than the shadow that we typically talk about, which I'll still show, is the shadows on the side. This is more of a different look that I haven't really talked about. I'm excited to show you. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a darker color than what you did. So maybe you take the blue, or you can mix in, I'm gonna mix some Tahoe blue, and maybe I'll just do it on here. This was my deep blue and my Tahoe blue mixed together. So what I'm gonna do is, you don't need a lot. So if you notice, I'm going to twirl onto my palette so that it's not a very saturated brush, a damp brush.
Damp brush? I don't know if they could see that though.
See what?
A little high up.
Oh, sorry.
It moved a little bit. There you go.
I'll do it again.
Do the twirly twirl thing.
Twirl, twirl. Okay, so if you were just not thinking about it and getting a lot in here, there is a lot on here. So I know if I were to paint, it might do its own thing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna twirl into the edge. And if you hit it, that doesn't really do anything unless it had a lot of water, but that's why I twirl. And maybe even scrape a little bit off if you feel like you have an excess, but that's why this palette is great. So now I have just a little bit on here, a little color, and I'm going to essentially color the bottom half. This is like the Keenan dip.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking actually.
The bottom half. And when I'm doing this, I'm going to draw like little blades of grass. So it's not a solid line that I'm drawing. I want to have it be more of a gradual look. So you have two options. You can either leave it like that, so it's more of it looking like it's dipped, or I got some water and then I'm just wiping this off a little bit so it's not a damp brush. And I'm going to blend more into this.
Damp brush.
To my mouth. Like that. So this one you can see where the connection is, but it's still a gradual movement because it's not a hard stop because I added those little grass-like strokes. Whereas this one, it's a lot smoother of a transition. So it's up to you how you'd like to do it. I was using this color. I'm going to show, I like the Keenan dipped one, so I'm going to continue to do that. So what I'm doing is I'm having an imaginary line that's coming across, and I'm thinking that acting as if crowded was dipped into a darker color. You can do this quickly or you can go slow, but and let's see. If this was dipped, this entire thing would be like that. However, I'm gonna leave a little line right there. Actually, it'd be the opposite. So I'm gonna show you guys something because this goes in tandem with the banner. Let me just do this whole thing. If we think that if you're looking at this, you can actually decide, let's see, you can decide which part is in front. So it's the same concept as the banner, as if that is the case, then I need to have a little bit of, if this is in front, let's say, Keenan, which one looks more in front from the camera? Does this look like it's in front, or does this look like it's in front?
I think the little one is behind.
Okay, so if that's the case, I'm going to do a little bit more deep blue. Need to create some depth. So I'm going to, along the edge of that, blend that in just a little bit. That bled a little bit. Does that look more like it's behind now?
Yep.
I could do it on this part, but I don't really think it needs it. That helps give it a little bit. So the same thing on this one is, I think that this would be in front and then this loops behind. So to do that, yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to take where, if this is in front, I need to create a shadow. Do it on both sides. Can just be super faint. So when I'm blending out, I'm just using a damp brush, not a soggy brush, because it will do its own thing. Okay, there.
That looks awesome.
Cool. That was a little fun lesson. This is still kind of wet, but I'm gonna go for it. Okay, so like I was saying, this, I need to do the, what number step is that? The 4th step of our banner. I'm jumping around. And I'm gonna do a darker, my deep blue. This is dry. So I'm gonna color over this to create that depth. So that's me coloring on top of it. And then this one, which they'll probably have similars, but this one, yeah, more. Painting it after. Which one do you like? It's interesting.
Full screen here.
Either one works.
They both work, but I like the one on the right a little more just because it had much, like the darker blue.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I just might have added more color in that one. So
Yeah.
I wonder if that has to do with the technique or if it was more the color I used.
I have no idea.
Either way, the whole point of this was just to show you guys that either way you do it, there's different options how to go about it. The whole thing is that you want these little triangles to be darker color. Okay, now I'm gonna add I'm gonna show you the border, and then I'll do the shadow last. Okay, so for the border, you actually don't need the guidelines underneath if you don't need, but what I did was just to kind of cap it off and kind of encapsulate it. I thought it'd be cool if it looked like the ribbon was coming out of it, so that's why I started the banner a little bit, or the border in the middle rather than on the outside of it. So might as well use the border if I have it. But I'm gonna use deep blue. That's not deep blue. Just moving around on this palette. Deep blue. But I wanna make it a little bit lighter of a color. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more water to it. Okay, so the cool thing about this brush is that you can dictate, just like we were doing with our lettering, how thin or thick you want your lines. So if I were to press harder, it'd be a lot thicker line, and maybe even I go from thick to thin when I get closer to the banner. Personal preference, you can decide how you want yours to look. I can do the same thing. So maybe I start thinner, maybe I go thicker towards the bottom. And then when I get to the corner, I'm gonna round these. This feels really awkward, but I'm just gonna go for it. You also don't have to connect. I don't know, it creates a visual just difference. See how this one's connected and this one isn't? I like both of them. They both work.
I'm a big fan of the disconnected.
Yeah?
Not gonna lie, yeah.
Oh, I have to draw that so slow. Okay, then the little just bonus is I added, this is just a design thing. It kind of looks like a cover of a book actually. But I'm just gonna add in. So now I'm just using the tip of this brush and lightly grazing, and then I'm adding little dots. So these are the same thing that you can decide how thick you want these to be. I'm using deep blue. Okay. We're moving and grooving.
No joke.
I'm on the last, oh no, fake out. I'm gonna show you the, the shadow. So I'm gonna continue to use my lighter. I'm gonna make this even lighter though. So I'm just gonna have a little bit more water, but I'm using my deep blue. But I wanna have it really light. And I'm gonna add the shadow. So with shadows, like I've talked about, is you have a light source and you pick, and then whichever one you do, it's going to hit your letters and it's casting a shadow. So it's going to be, for mine, I'm going to choose to do it on this side. And for this one, I'm going to have them, sometimes when I typically do shadows, if you've seen me, I usually have a little bit of space next to the letters and then I have the shadow. Whereas this one, I'm just going to touch it.
Plot twist.
Yeah.
What if the corner things you put in, just the lines and the dots,
Yeah.
were actually lights shining on the words, and you threw some glitter gouache in there too?
Glitter gouache.
Gold gouache? It's glittery, okay? It glitters. It's glowing.
Metallic. I think I'm not a
Metallic,
glitter
shiny.
person, so, but I love it.
But it could be shiny.
Yes, that's awesome. Then that would be very interesting because if that was the case, you would have,
Weird shadows everywhere.
or it'd just be no shadows because they just X each other out.
Very well lit up.
Yeah, just diffuses all of them.
Interesting.
Not really sure, but I'd love that if someone does that. How cool if they drew even a,
That'd be sweet.
draw your own street lamp, street light. Oh, Keenan's gonna do that. I will say though, is when you're doing this, try not to have too much water, because if you notice really slightly, if you have too much, you're just reactivating your original color and it might blend a little bit. It's super minor, and I just wanted to let you know that if that happens, that's why. It's just, you just have too much water, because what I mean by that, if no one knows what I'm talking about, is this is completely dry, but if I were to color and blend over it too much, like if you were adding a shadow, it would just bleed out and you wouldn't even know where your original one was. Okay. Boom. Final step, white. Bleed-proof white is a awesome medium. In your subscription box, if you have it with us, you will have a little jar that has it. If not, you can also buy their website and it will come in a big jar like this. We gave you guys a lot, but all you need is scoop out a little bit, and you don't really need that much, especially because we're just doing this lettering. And I scooped it into my palette already. I'm going to show you just for the sake of doing something different. I've been using the aquash brush, the medium one, this entire time. I'm just going to show you just because might as well. If I were to letter with this white, or the round zero, what it would look like. So what I did was I just dipped my brush in the water, picked up a little bit of water. If you have been playing with us and you've used the gold gouache or the black gouache or the glitter gouache, as Keenan says, that medium is a little bit more pastier than this, so you will need to add more water to that. So this one, don't add as much water as you may think, just do a little bit. Literally just dip your brush in and then maybe mix it in like I did. And then, let's see. The thing is that, yep, I had a feeling. You have options. You can either, so what's happening is I can't see through. Ooh, this is cool. I can't see through, I can use this. I can't see through my letters. So what I can do, if that's the case, if you don't feel comfortable freehanding it, oh, yeah. Get a black marker, a Sharpie. We'll see if this works. It might be too bright in this room because we're filming. So if you were to do this, when I do this on my own, is I would find a dark room, and then I'd allow my light box to be the only type of light that's showing. Oh, boom. You can see through it. So that works. If you made your banner and it's a really dark, even black or navy, you might not be able to see it. So you can also pencil it in over it if you'd like to do that. When I'm doing this, I tilt my paper a little bit to the left because I'm right-handed, so it's easier for me. I tend to sit like this. If you're left-handed, try and tilt it that way, and that might help. Okay. When you are doing this, sorry, that literally made it's testing.
Hard not
it's testing
to be in the
my
way
skills.
Of that camera. Yeah, there you go. Oh, nice posture.
I don't have good posture. You are going to just paint. I would suggest going a little bit slower. What you saw when I was doing watercolors, because it's a little bit more free-flowing, you can go faster. When you're doing painting with bleed-proof white or a different medium, I suggest to go a little bit slower. Design time. This is your chance to, design how thick you want your letters to be. So I wanted to do this first to show you guys. I just applied a light pressure, so these are thinner lines, whereas if you look at this, I had it more bold. So if you do that and you think, oh, that's a little bit too dainty, and I want it to be that extra mile, we're going the extra mile, so you want to make it a little bit thicker, just dip in a little bit more and thicken up that line. It's all good. And also, if you look really closely, if Keenan can zoom in on this, you'll see that this, even though it's white, it's not a solid opaque white. Bleed-proof white and gouache is an opaque version of watercolor, so when you add water, you need that to paint with it. However, it dilutes it a little bit. So you can kind of see through a tad bit the watercolor underneath, especially because it's such a dark color. So in addition to thickening up your lines, if you want, you also can just do another layer if you want a more opaque white. EXT. If you are having trouble and when you're painting with it and it's not gliding, add a little bit more water. But no, it's going to feel different than how you've been painting with your watercolors, so give it a chance. It's awesome. Extra. Okay, I think we're gonna fast forward while I do the rest of this, then you guys can do it as well. Done with that. I can go a few more coats because I can see that it's still a little bit clear or a little bit transparent. I'm just gonna let it go. And I wanna show you how you can add a shadow to this as well. So this is the one where I was saying where, especially because this is white, if I were to add a line similar to this next to it, it would just make the line thicker. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to eyeball and pretend that there's a little bit of space between and just draw a thin line. I'm just using the tip of this brush. In addition, when I'm dipping, I'm just dipping the tip of the brush. If you have too much when you're painting a thin line, it will be a thicker line than you want it to. So just dip a little bit. So doing this, the letters pop just a little bit more. Oh, that was a little bit thicker than I wanted. It's all good. Maybe do it like that. Okay, then you can also have fun if you want. I'm gonna show you guys how On this one, I also added a highlight. So when it's on the letter and it's white, it's a highlight, as if something's hitting it, and then it's lit up right there, and then the rest of it is dark. So when you're doing this, I mixed it up, and I did a line, but then I added a little dot. This is a 100% style preference. You don't have to do this, but the reason why when I was designing this is that I added dots here, so I'm gonna add dots here. So maybe you add a bunch of dots. I just wanted one dot. I did one here, but I just wanted to mix it up. So this is why all of this, you can make this your own. So I'm adding it to the thick down parts of it. Because if I were to add a line there, you wouldn't really see it because it's such a thin part. So it helps to just do it on the thick down strokes. Okay. We're done. That was awesome. The white will take a little bit longer to dry than your watercolors, so allow that, and maybe that's what you do is you let it dry, take a step back, look at it and see, does it need a new coat, does it need another coat, or maybe it's great the way you did it. But good job, guys. I'm so excited to see what you create. There's a lot in this one. We went through learning how to make a banner in a couple easy steps. We did that. We did watercolor lettering. We did a border, which is a new thing that we don't do all the time. And then we ended with white lettering. So I hope you had a lot of fun with this. This was definitely going the extra mile, so there's a lot to this. So I'm excited to see what you guys make. We have a watercolor group. Oh, we have a watercolor and a lettering group because I'm doing watercolor. We have a watercolor group called Let's Make Art Watercolor. We have a lettering group called Let's Make Art Lettering. Be a part of both of them. They're both really great. But join us, share what you make. We like to encourage each other along the way. We're all in different steps on learning, but the best thing is that you put yourself out there and you're showing, I can make something with my own two hands, which is what we say in the oath. So thank you everyone, and I hope you have a good week. Bye.